Alright, it's time for another 6.5 Creedmoor video. So last time we shot the 6.5 Creedmoor, we tried the 123 grain SST from Hornady with H4350. Today we're going to try the 120 grain Gold Dot. So I only have a box of 50 laying around, so we got to figure this out quick if we're going to use this bullet. We're going to use Winchester number 41 small rifle primers and my Starline new brass. Now we're not really going to look up any load data for this, we're just going to use the same, essentially the same loads that we used in the last video with a max load of 43.9 grains. We're going to start out at 42.7 grains, work our way up in 4/10 increments. Don't think that we're going to get in any pressure issues because we've used H4350, these loads, and the 120 class bullets a lot. Now this is a different construction bullet, but I don't think we'll get in any trouble with it. Now we're going to use a overall length of 2.805. This is kind of a random length that I chose. Basically the least amount of the bullet that I feel comfortable putting in the case, and we're not hitting the lands. I didn't want to load these super short, but you know, the bullets are pretty short bullets, so 2.805 cartridge overall length is what we're going to use. Now this ended up leaving a little bit of powder volume left at the top load. So the loads weren't compressed, but we were getting just to the point at which the case was full with the bullet seated. So hopefully we have some good results with these. Let's get over to the range and let's see how they shoot. Alright, we're out here on the range. The target is at 100 yards. This is my Savage 110 Tactical, chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor, mounted in an MDT XRS chassis. We've got a 6-24 Athlon Midas Tac optic. We're shooting a 120 grain Gold Dot. Velocity is being gathered by our Labradar. The gun is cold. It is about 85 degrees out today, so it is nice and warm. Pretty humid, no wind to speak of. So we're going to do 3-shot groups today because we're saving components because I don't have many of these Gold Dots. But hopefully, if we get some really promising results, we might come back and recheck with 5-shot groups. Now we are going to magazine feed because these fit in our magazine. Alrighty, so let's see how these bullets shoot. Alright, so far the first two look like they're going to group together. Alright, looks like a nice group. Let's check out our velocity here. Alright, so velocity on that one was 2865, average with a 2.1 SD. So I guess technically we could probably start there. Group looks great, velocity numbers look great, be a perfect hunting load to use at the distances that I hunt. But we've loaded up the rest of these, let's go ahead and shoot them. Alright, that one looks like a nice group there too. Check out our velocity. Alrighty, so that velocity we were looking at 2891 feet per second with an SD of 8.0. So again, good numbers there, nothing to complain about. Let's move on up. Alright, another good group there. Alright, let's check out our velocity on that one. Our velocity on that group was 2916 average with a 7.3 SD. So again, nothing to complain about. Let's go ahead and move on up to our last group. We're going to check the barrel heat here. Barrel's relatively warm, but it's nothing crazy. We just have 3 more shots to shoot. So we're going to go ahead and shoot them. See if we can keep up that streak of good groups down there. That felt like a pretty good shot, even though it went up pretty high. And not quite as high as that first one, but still a little high. Yeah, not a bad group to end there. Probably our worst group of the day, but definitely by no means a bad group. Let's take a look at our velocity numbers here. Alright, velocity on that last group was 2941 average, SD of 14.2. So highest SD of the day, probably the biggest group. Let's get over there to the target and let's check it out. Alrighty, so taking a look at the target here. Very good results across the board. That first group at 42.9 grains, shot 28.65 feet per second, 2.1 SD, and a 0.35 inch group. Nice triangle shaped group 2, no vertical or horizontal straining. Moving on to 43.1 grains, 28.91 feet per second, 8.0 SD, and a 0.4 inch group. Moving on to 43.5, shot 29.16 feet per second, 7.3 SD, and a 0.46 inch group. And our last group of the day at 43.9 grains, we shot 29.41 feet per second, 14.2 SD, and the worst group of the day at 0.65 inches. So overall, very satisfied with these groups. If we look at them too, they're nice and even across the board. We might have had a little bit of upward shift on that last group, but we're going to stay away from that group anyway because of the 14.2 SD. Now, as far as picking a load to use hunting this year, if I was going to pick one of these, which might be one of these that we use, probably choose that 43.5 grain load. It's at 29.16 feet per second, 7.3 SD, and under a half inch. Now, today was 85 degrees. Likely when we hunt, it's going to be, somewhere between 20 and 50 degrees. So we're probably going to lose a little bit of velocity, and I feel like we should be safe with that because we shot those 43.1 load and that 42.7, and those all shot excellent. Also, we won't be using these out to super long range. Most shots taken in my area are probably between 0 and 200 yards, and really stretching it's maybe 350 yards. So these bullets would work fine at that point. We could probably push up in velocity because our brass looks fine. I'll throw up a picture here. There's really nothing going on with the brass. Looks like new brass that's been fired basically. But because we're not, trying to squeeze out, extra yardage or anything like that, these bullets should expand well within the envelope that they will hit the animal if we end up using them for that. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you want to see next. I think we'll probably end up using the gold dot this year with one of these loads we use. Now when it gets closer to the season, we might do a sighting in video and confirm it with a 5-shot group, but I have pretty good confidence that these would work just fine in my area. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing, and we'll see you next time.